Hello everyone, this guy Super. Welcome back to another video, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at an auto shelf restocker and crafter. So let's have a look at this thing. So a couple days back I actually put out a video about this very build in a slightly incomplete stage, asking for some help. Luckily we got it from a very helpful comment by Esperna. Thank you so much for that, it really helped. But this is not the final version of it. We have another version. I basically dumbed down the original version so that it would still work in this small form factor we have here. So let's have a look at this, and then we can look at the more advanced version. So the idea for this build basically came from a survival world where I tend to use a lot of slabs, trapdoors, and stairs while designing the build in creative, but then don't use on any of it while actually building in survival. The reason for that is I do find the crafting a bit cumbersome. So we came up with this design. Basically, we have a shelf dedicated to each block type. And what I can do is I can just take a stack of it, and the shelf starts restocking itself. And it's the same thing for each one of these. The old problem I was having is I had one shelf for which had all three items in. The world download for both of these will be there in the description, so let's actually quickly get onto how this thing works. This is not a tutorial. So as you can see, every time you take an item out from this, items get sucked out from this hopper, and it slowly starts emptying out here. When the hopper is empty, comparator turns off, which turns on this redstone torch here. I think just used it out. I can just help myself stack so we can get this thing going again. You can see it every so often turns on. What happens when it turns on? A couple of things. First up, this torch turns off, which unpowers this hopper. This hopper is sucking items out from this chest. And as the wood is passing through, since this is turned off, it puts it into the crafter down below. The crafter has a comparator looking into it. After 9 pieces of redstone, it occasionally powers up. You just saw it there. Powers up, chucks an item out into the hopper, which gets restocked back here until a backup is formed, like a soap. Meanwhile, if any of these torches are turned on, this redstone line is also turned on. This turns off this torch here. Turns off this line of redstone, unlocks this hopper, allowing the wood to pass through. Meanwhile, we have a small comparator here which is checking the full level of the wood. Basically, this is sort of your backup wood stock. Once the signal strength drops below 3, it unpowers that repeater over there. Oops. That repeater is currently powering this block, which is locking up this hopper. And as this unpowers, the wood is allowed to pass through into the crafter. The crafter has a very simple block here. Every time an item goes through, passes a signal which powers the crafter, puts an item into the barrel, and the process continues until, once again, fill rate is achieved. Now, this is all really good. For a couple of reasons. First up, this is infinitely tileable. So you can just have this go on for as many more crafting recipes as you want. The problem with that is obviously there aren't too many other crafting recipes. If you just look at the crafter over here, you can possibly have pressure plates, and that's basically it. Pressure plates, sticks, buttons, but not much else. So requiring all of this is a bit much. Also, you have 64 times 3 slots available. Probably don't need that much backup storage. Now is a good point to actually go to the original design, which is the idea that you have all of them inside a single shelf. And this is the build. As you can see, it just got way harder. So we're going to have a quick look at how this thing works as well. Now, the reason why we need all of this circuitry is because the shelves don't really care about which hopper is feeding it. It's not that a hopper from the right feeds into this slot and a hopper in the middle. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. However, there's another cool thing about shelves that we can use to our advantage, is that the comparator output from shelves doesn't depend on the number of items in the shelves, but rather which slots are filled up. So removing a single item from this corresponds to a different signal strength. In order to make use of that, we are using a red coded on here. Basically, in case the signal strength drops to somewhere around here, it doesn't activate both of these. It just basically helps you get a single output from every individual comparator signal string. We shall have a look at this in action. That's what the yellow circuit is all about. It's basically a red coder. The red coder runs into the green signal, which is basically a conventional crafting system. Unlocks one of the hoppers over here, lets wood flow in from here, and as these get filled up, feeds back, crafts it up, pours it into this water stream. Yeah. The blue line borrows from the red coder. Every time even a single one of these are active, it turns on, turns this off, unlocks the hopper, allows wood to pass through. Meanwhile, we have the bubble bubble circuit, which checks if the signal strength is 2, basically if the wood's fill rate is up here. If it falls below that, it allows wood to pass through here to a crafter, and we've got a little auto crafting setup thingamajic here. Blue block to avoid signal leach over. Next up, all the items pass through and get collected in this hopper where we have an circuit. The problem is, in the previous design, we could actually check when we had enough items because you were checking the comparator right from the shelf. In this case, you don't have that kind of distance, also because it's following a different system. Because right now you're checking whether the shelf is empty or not, and not the number of items in the shelf. So you need a slight tweak. So every time this item hopper fills up with items to a certain level, this comparator slowly starts turning on. When it hits a signal strength of 2, this turns off, this pulls back, this unpowers this target block, which unlocks the hopper, allowing items to pass through into the dropper. The dropper over here is an auto dropper, so it starts feeding items back in over here. The moment the first item goes in, the red coder deactivates, shutting down the entire system so more things aren't crafted. Meanwhile, this remains unlocked, so it starts sucking out all the remaining items that were getting crafted in sort of interim. Eventually, when this finally empties out, after both of them finally empty out, the system is reset. So that's how this thing works. All of this would not be required if hoppers corresponded to a single slot, but I can see what the problems with that are. So suppose I wanted a bunch of trapdoors. I can just take this out. As you can see, just a single torch unpowers. This has unpowered as well. The crafting is happening, as you can see. That's happening over there. This is slowly filling up. It is quite slow. I wonder if we are losing... Yeah, we just saw the auto crafter figure over there. This... Wait, I'm checking the long hopper. Any moment now. Yep, you just saw that. So this starts sucking items out from it, putting it into the dropper. Auto dropper comes back here. It is stocked into the right spot. This has deactivated, so the crafting is also going to stop. And yeah, you just saw that this is reset, and this is also. Now, suppose I was to get a dark oak slab. You can see this one gets going. And very similar, this is obviously faster because dark oak multiplies the wood. And yep, it's back in. And this is very close to a stack like the previous one. But now, the problems with this, yes, you can't take 2 items out at once. You are going to have to wait for this whole system to stop doing its thing before you can actually take extra items out of it. And probably the most important thing, not tileable, extremely built for a single type of wood. There is an advantage to this in that it doesn't really matter which wood type you use, because when you use this and you take it out, as long as you've swapped out all the wood here, it's just going to replace it. But again, might be a bit too much work. Is this still a really cool build to have? Yes, it is. That's why we do stuff. So anyways, thanks for watching. This means Kaiser and Mal. The World download is obviously in the description for you to check out. So yeah, do have a look at it, and I hope to catch you in the next redstone or farm video, or even the survival video. But yeah, see you then. Ciao for now. Goodbye.